Hi guys, it's Ben Heath from Lead Guru, and in this video, I'm going to talk about Facebook ad click fraud. How much of an issue is it? What can you do about it as an advertiser? And all that sort of stuff. Before I get into it, I want to very quickly ask to hit that thumbs up button and of course subscribe to my YouTube channel if you haven't done so already. Very important you're up to date with all the latest Facebook and Instagram advertising stuff, if that's something that's important to your business. Okay, so click fraud is something that all digital marketers encounter and worry about at some point. There are platforms like, for example, Google Ads, particularly the search network, where it can become a real big issue, where perhaps you're operating in a very expensive industry, you can be charged an enormous amount for each individual click. And if there's people clicking or bots clicking on your ads and they're not real people, they can waste a huge amount of your budget. On Facebook, it is a thing, it does occur. The scale to which it's an issue is, I think, overblown by some people. And in my experience, it's not something that happens massively, and it very, very rarely takes up a significant proportion of any advertiser's budget, but it does happen. So when we're talking about Facebook ads, sort of click fraud, or even impression fraud, because there's different ways you can run Facebook ad campaigns, we're talking about two major things. The first being activity from your competitors. Okay, competitors can click on your ads, they can come through to your website, they can even do a load of stuff. I've heard of people purposefully clicking on a competitor's ads, going into their website, adding a load of stuff to cart, playing around, knowing that they're never going to buy anything and that's going to waste their competitor's budget because they're going to be retargeted and all that sort of stuff. And, you know, that sort of thing does happen and it's unfortunate. Very, very little you can do to prevent something like that. But to be honest, is that much of a problem? It's only going to represent a tiny, tiny proportion of your budget. Facebook ads doesn't work like the Google search network, where you might be only after a relatively small number of clicks and charge an enormous amount per click. Facebook operates on an impression basis. The way Facebook thinks about their product and what they're selling is in CPM terms, cost per 1,000 impressions. And yes, you see in your ad account cost per click and cost per conversion, things like that. But really what they're thinking about, Facebook side of things, is cost per impression. So if you had a few competitors doing that sort of thing, it's going to be a tiny proportion of your budget spent on them. It's just not something to really worry about. And in terms of them messing up the optimization process by adding to cart, messing around, if you've got almost no conversion volume, maybe, it's just not something you need to worry about. Not a lot you can do about it. No point, not being able to sleep because of this issue. The more common thing that you see come up when it comes to irregular activity and potentially Facebook advertisers' budget being wasted is actually bots. And you may see in your Facebook ad account pop up with warnings every now and then saying, we've spotted some unusual activity, or there's been, you may even use the word bots. They won't use the word click fraud or anything like that, but they might even use the word bots and they'll say, this has taken place, therefore out of the 10 grand you spent last month, we're refunding you $2.43. It's always just a minuscule tiny amount. So that shows a couple things, right? A, that it does happen. B, that Facebook is on top of it to some extent and they do know it's an issue and they're working very hard to prevent it. And C, that it really isn't much of an issue, because if it's, you spend $10,000 and they refund you $2.40, whatever, and it's normally those sorts of numbers, it's just not something to stress about. It's not going to make any difference to your results. If you suspect or feel that a significant proportion of your budget is being wasted on bots, which are obviously never going to go on to purchase, then what you can do is you can come in here, and that's why I've got this set up at the ad set level, click on manual placements and remove the audience network, because the audience network, and Facebook will say this in their little warnings that pop up in your ad account, is nearly always the culprit for the location where bot activity will occur and waste your budget as an advertiser. Facebook's very good at policing their apps, Facebook, Instagram, Messenger, making sure that sort of stuff doesn't happen. But obviously the audience network they have far less control over. The audience network tends to be things, well, it's external to Facebook, so it tends to be the sort of thing where you click off Facebook onto something and you see ads, but Facebook don't have as much control. So you see a little bit of a refund. Now, when Facebook is identifying that there's been some bot activity and refunding you, are they always going to be accurate around the extent to which that's an issue? Probably not, if I'm being honest. Do I think they might be underplaying it a bit? Yes, probably. That would sound likely from everything we know. But do I think that it's a big issue? No. So basically, in terms of Facebook ad click fraud or impression fraud, anything like that, it's not something that keeps me up at night, not something I think you should worry about as a Facebook advertiser. If I have had people who are convinced that they're rare cases where it is being much of an issue, you can go ahead and remove the audience network. But again, it's really important that you're running the right campaign objectives. If you're using conversions, for example, you're far less likely to run into this issue than if you're running traffic campaigns, because with conversions, Facebook's going to optimize people that convert, and a bot's never going to go ahead and convert, or very unlikely to do so. Whereas they may well register as link clicks and things like that. Okay, so hopefully this video has been useful. Before you go, a couple of things I want to quickly mention. The first is a free webinar I've created called 1 Killer Facebook Advertising Strategy to Supercharge Your Results. And in this webinar, I break down the single most important thing that you need to get right as a Facebook advertiser to see fantastic results. Like if someone came to me and they're like, I'm new to Facebook ads, or I've been doing it a while and I want to get better results, what should I do? It's this thing. And I go through it in a lot of detail. Strongly recommend you check it out. It's completely free. Link is in the video description below. I think you'd be very glad that you took the time, 40, 50 minutes long, not too long. And yeah, it can be a real game changer if you're looking for better results. If you found this video useful, please give it a thumbs up. Please comment below to let me know. And of course, subscribe to my channel. Make sure you're up to date with all the latest Facebook and Instagram changings, or the meta changings, metaverse changings that we're now going to be getting into, and all that sort of stuff. I'm here to make sure you are. Thanks a lot, guys. Bye for now.